What's going on, everybody? I'm Keith, host of Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas, where 4 to 5 of my brothers give their perspective on national as well as local news. We touch on some trending hot topics as well as culturally relevant news. We also get a chance to dive into some deep core conversations. Check us out live every other Monday at 7 p.m. You can find us on Just Our Thoughts on YouTube Live, as well as Just Our Thoughts fan page on Facebook. Also, please don't forget to follow us on IG, JOTW with the Fellas. What's good, fellas?
What up? What up? What up, everybody?
What's going on, E? Yo.
Hey, man, listen, man, for all of us here tonight, we have a very, very special guest. We're going to give his intro a little later on, but I just want y'all to know this brother goes way, way back, and he is a dear friend and brother to all of us. We call him Big G, also known as George Hegamin. But we gonna get into Big G dropping some knowledge on us in a few minutes. But as you know, everybody, we like to start off with a little icebreaker. So the icebreaker for tonight is Thanksgiving will be here in about 3 days, right? And we know none of us here is going to be cooking, right? Ain't nobody cooking, right?
I'm putting something together. I am
okay. Well, all right. Well, listen. Here's the thing. Here's the question. What is your go-to dish? If somebody asks you to bring something over, what do you think is something that people know you by that you're like, oh, okay, hey, Keith, bring this. George, bring this. KD, bring this. What will be that dish? Let's start off with you, Keith. What's your dish?
Hey, E, I think my go-to dish, man. I do some different things with some salmon. This year I'm gonna do a pecan crusted type of salmon. I also got this dish, man, with some root veggies. So it's some sweet potatoes, some potatoes, regular potatoes, and I do some squash. So, I add some Brussels sprouts in there, some different onions up in there, man, and some thyme, and I'll add some rosemary, man, just to give a little flavor to it, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's a dope dish. It's a good dish. So that would be probably my top 2 dishes, man, that is requested. You know,
Keith, can you wrap them Brussels sprouts in bacon for me? Please. See, if you would come over, I would make sure you had your dish because I know you can't. I have. So can you wrap those Brussels sprouts in bacon?
We can talk.
That means no. That means no. Yeah, hey, Big G, he said no.
Hey, listen, for me, man, and what's up to my brother Mark Burrell? He just joined in. My go-to dish, man, is a big ziti, and it's funny that my brother just joined in because he thinks that he can cook better than I can, but he really can't. I taught him how to make big ziti. Years ago, man, I used to throw everything in there, man, from some pepperonis, man, to some Italian sausage. Now it's just straight up ground turkey, man, and a couple bags of cheese, man.
Yeah,
so that's my go-to dish. What you got, KD?
Ah, man, I guess I had to be traditional. Y'all went non-traditional dishes on me. I mean, I would have to go with the candy yams. I mean, that's just that would just be.
So we gotta talk, bro. That's my thing right there.
That's the traditional piece right there. There's other traditional elements that you have at the Thanksgiving table, but it would be the candied yams.
Okay.
I mean, you can't go wrong with that. I mean, they're never too sweet. They're never too rich.
Just right.
They just right. And I mean, you can't go wrong. So that would be the go-to. That goes with anything. You can put the juice of the candy yams next to the big macaroni and cheese. You can allow the juice of the candy yams to be saturated on the stuffing and your white or dark meat. that goes well. It can saturate any part of the food that's on your plate. So it would be candy yams for me.
Got you. Big G, talk to us. Bring it home on the dish.
So I got two. Kevin Kev, he mentioned one of them. So I have to throw that baked macaroni and cheese on y'all right quick. But I mean, it's going to be done right. It's going to be crispy on top. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be cheesy in the middle. Everything's going to go together like it's supposed to go together. But man, you know, I lived in Texas and still live in Texas for a while, man. Them boys showed me how to fry a turkey. So get a deep fried turkey, man. I'm telling you, you think it'd be dry, but nah, man, you deep fry that thing the right way, man. That thing coming out smoking.
Nice.
So I'm showing up with two dishes. I'm a big brother, so I'm gonna eat a lot. I'm gonna show up with a lot.
Come on, G.
You know what I'm saying?
Talk to us, Big G.
I'm giving you two. So what's up?
Okay.
Nice.
My mama biscuits.
There you go.
Nice.
We want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you for joining us tonight on Just Our Thoughts with the Fellas. I'm your host, Keith Hall, and tonight we got a special guest with us tonight. But before I introduce our special guest, I got the fellas with me tonight, and actually, our special guest is one of the fellas too.
Yes,
man.
he is.
He
is.
Oh yeah,
definitely one of the fellas. Kev, what's up, bro?
I'm chilling. I'm here, baby.
Good.
Yeah.
How was spin class, man?
Spin class was dope, man.
Spin
It
class
was a
was
struggle Monday, but we pushed through it, man. 45 minutes of sweat.
Okay.
Let's go. We getting ready for the turkey.
That's what's up. We getting ready for the Broad Street Run too next year. I know you don't feel like hearing that right now, bro. We getting ready for that Broad Street Run.
Father, in the name of Jesus.
Yes. E-Dub, what's up, E? What's going on?
What up, man? Just getting ready, man. Getting ready for the big day, man. That's it, man.
Any special plans Thursday, E?
I'm just going over to Mom Duke's house, man. The family and I, we're going over there, bust a grub, man. You know, watch some TV, watch the game, and you know, eat probably 2 or 3 plates and then come on home, man. That's it.
EB can pack it away. My goodness.
Yes, I can, brother. You already know.
I never like watching EB eat is like it's not a puzzle. It's nothing like a mystery, but it's amazing to see the work of art that he does with the plates. He's Big G. EB's like a Picasso of eating.
Yeah.
When you think that he might be done and the limitations have been reached, he goes and he digs deeper.
He going back.
You know, the one thing about E that I want to throw out there is after E eats his first plate, right? He'll eat his first plate and he takes his time. He paces himself. He'll go sit down, chill out, talk, and he's planned. He's planned his second plate already. Everything strategically, everything that he wants on that second plate.
Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Tell him, G.
Hey,
Come on, man.
You gotta have a plan, man. You gotta have a plan. See, if you're a big brother like me, the plan starts like this. Hey, number one, you gotta go over there with the right outfit. Okay.
Come on, G.
Okay.
You can't go over there with no belt, no jeans on, man, no pretty shirt, man. You gotta wear the sweatsuit, man. Put the sweats on, man. Start with the sweats. You gotta start out the chair. Know which chair you're gonna be able to sit in and watch the thing, get up. Then I'm gonna tell you, depending on whose house you at, right?
Right.
You also gotta look over that food, man. You gotta look over that food.
Yes, sir.
Figure out what's what, and then you got to work your plan from there. EB, man, you're doing a good thing, bro.
Oh, man. Thank you, man. Hey,
listen,
man.
hey, Big G, don't get EB no more plays. Okay, he got enough offensive and defensive plays for that plate.
Go over there with some sweats on, EB. I'm telling you,
I'm gonna do that. Hey, come on, man. Give me that intro for my band, our big brother.
Oh man. We want to thank everybody for joining out. This is Keith, and this is Just Our Thoughts, where we have national conversation, talk about national, local news. We touch on trending topics. We touch on culturally relevant topics and have some core conversations. And certainly we have some guests. Before we go to that guest, I want to give my boy Ward, our brother Ward Heem, a good shout out. He is missing today. He's down, not feeling well. So if you could say a little prayer for my brother Ward Heem, I'm going to try to drop some chicken noodle soup off to him, make that brother feel good and make his stomach feel good in the morning. But tonight we got our brother, one of the fellas, our brother George Hegamin. George Hegamin. Oh man, Camden's own legend, George Hegamin, played basketball, football, Super Bowl champion, not only Super Bowl champion, but more importantly, a father, a son, a philanthropist, a freaking giver. And that's what I look at George as, simply a giver, man. One that gives his heart, one that gives his mind to many that touch him. So, George, welcome, brother. Welcome, man.
Hey, look, I appreciate it, Keith. Remind me to pay you later. and take you on my next speaking gig, man, because you hit it all. You hit it all, man. But look, I do. I want to start off again, by saying thank you. And then you mentioned the giving part, man. The reason why I'm saying thank you is because of what you guys gave me, which was security when I walked into High back in '89. And know everybody, but just like Kevin was talking, me and him hadn't seen each other since Forest Hill. So the fact that as soon as I walked in, it was all love then, man. It was a place where I knew I could come, and grow into who I grew into. And I appreciate all you guys for that big time.
George, and I think that's where we want to start, man. If you don't mind, we just wanted to, it wasn't anything specific, but a dope guy like you, man, you had so much to give. This is certainly a good time. We had some conversation during the summer, when we wanted to have you on, but this is just simply a great time, to unpack that brain of yours, man, and see what you can share with us, just regarding life, get your perspective on different things, man. So, if you don't mind just, letting us know, you already touched on how long you've known us, and how, not only us, but, your other closer friends, man, embraced you. When you came to the High. So if you could talk about, just a little bit of your upbringing, for those that aren't familiar with you, Jay.
Yeah, man. So I'm born and raised in Camden. I'll tell a funny story. People always ask me, well, how did you not end up going to Hatch or Bonds or places like that or whatever? And the crazy thing is, man, so people always ask me, what part of Camden are you from? And I'm that stray dog, right? Because I lived everywhere: East Camden, North Camden, Centerville, Pollock Town, Parkside, downtown, all those different places. But at this particular time, we were living, which used to be called Van Hook Street, now Carmilla Boulevard. We was living on Carmilla Boulevard out in that area. And I used to I don't even think the bar is even there no more. You guys remember the bar that used to be on the corner of Mount Ephraim and where Carmilla Boulevard, right across the street?
Was that Giacomo's?
Giacomo's. It was Giacomo's.
That was Giacomo's.
Right? So,
right across from the church.
Yeah. So I'm standing on the corner of Giacomo's, leaned up against the wall, and my partner, he used to sell. He used to sell, right? So I'm leaned up against the wall with him, and y'all probably don't remember. My mom used to drive this long Cadillac. And I saw the Cadillac coming around the corner, and I didn't think she saw me because she never looked at me. Well, I go in the house. She didn't say anything. Then all of a sudden, a week later, I get this. She said, "Look, you're going over to Girard College and take this test." And I was like, first of all, what is Girard College and what I'm taking the test? Go over to Girard College for. She's like, I saw you on the corner over there, standing over there with your man, looking like y'all dropping some dimes or whatever. And I was like, man. Next thing I know, so I'm taking the test, passed the test, and the rest is history. I ended up leaving Forest Hill. We graduate, keeping 5th grade graduation. I spent the summer in Camden. That next fall, I'm in Girard College over in Philly.
Wow.
So that extracted me, from the city, but I would come home every weekend. So, but they would keep real close tabs on me during the weekend. But I'm gonna tell you, man, it was probably one of the best things that ever happened to me because, exposure is the key to just about anything, right? Because up until that point, Camden was really all I knew. That was all I knew. And if you really think about it, so what was the major thing in Camden? Campbell Soup. Half my family worked at Campbell Soup. The other half my family worked at the Bridge. And other parts of my family worked at Encore Hospital. So those three things, right? That was the pathway. That was the pathway, right? So only my cousin, who's older than me, she was the only person who had dreams of like going to college, doing things like that. So me going to Girard, dude, it like opened up my mind because everything I did over there was all kinesthetic, right? It was all kinesthetic. So how they taught you history, how they taught you math, how they taught you about English, all those things. Like you would go to different parts on campus. So we'd jump in the bus and go to New York and jump in the bus, go to DC and learn all these different things. And then I'm meeting people from all over the country that come from all these different hoods. And we all had this same ideology that only our hood was all we knew. But we get there. So now I'm playing basketball. I'm going to start talking about the sport thing. I start playing basketball and got pretty good at it. But I was Girard College good. I didn't know I wasn't Camden High good. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking I'm going to be the next Charles Barkley. You couldn't tell me I wasn't going to be the next Charles Barkley. So long story short, I get kicked out of Girard. Get kicked out of Girard. They tried to. It's so funny because I was watching a special on Kevin Garnett. Pretty much the same thing happened. KG, a good friend of mine. I got kicked out of Girard for what was called lynching. So lynching is when one large group attacks another large group and somebody ends up getting hurt somewhere thereof. They just lumped me in with a bunch of other guys that I kicked it with and said that I was the ringleader of this group. To a certain degree, I was, because the same way I was the high, I spoke to everybody. Right. So they always saw me with them. So they kicked us, they kicked me out. That's how I end up back at the high. So I get there. The first person I meet, like literally the very first person I met when I walked in the door was Coach Dane. Wow. And I remember he just stood there and look, you know, Coach Dane's voice, man, look at this dude here. Man, you don't play football. At that point, I hadn't played a lick of football. I'd never gotten to a 3-point stance. I had never done that.
Wow.
So the crazy thing, and it's a shame, but this is how it is. I'm in the office, and the only people that come see me are the coaches. So Coach Turner comes, Coach Boo comes, Coach Dane comes, Coach Sent was there. I remember Coach Sent.
Yeah.
They all coming. They kind of like fighting on me back and forth or whatever. And I'm like, but I don't play football. I don't know anything about football.
Right.
So then I remember, I can't remember her name and who the principal was at that time.
Dr. Ruthie Green Brown.
Ruthie Green Brown.
Who was Dr. Green? She was like, she looking at my transcript. And she was like, you guys are arguing over, you know, what kind of athlete he is. Like, look at his grades. Like, he's got excellent grades.
Right.
So from my point of view, it was like, man, it was like, I felt like me coming there was, I'm gonna just put it out there. It was a downgrade for me, right? Because I came back to the hood. Now what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
So now from a psychological standpoint, I'm trying to figure out, how do I be cool, right? How do I still get great grades? And then how do I figure out how to walk home without getting shot? Like all these things are going through my head. But see, the crazy thing is, if you think about when we was in high school, man, you had so many different factions, right? You had the Fairview crew, you had the Parkside crew,
Centerville,
right, everybody, East Camden. I knew somebody in every group and was cool with everybody in every group.
Right.
Okay.
The blessing in all of it was everybody had a plan for me, but I didn't have a plan for myself.
Wow.
It was like, man, you need to play football. So that's all I'm hearing. You need to play football. You need to play football. You need to play football. So Coach Hansen steps in. Coach Hansen steps in, and he never talked to me about football. Nope. For like the first few times we met, he just was trying to figure out what type of person I was. Right. And you know, Coach Hansen, man, he was always like everybody's everything to a large degree. So he and I got real cool, and then he explained to me what football could do for me. Different mindset, right? Different mindset.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. So I can use football to go to college and not have to pay for college. Okay, so from that standpoint, my mindset was, okay, let me figure out how to do it so I can do it, be real good at it, and then just get a degree.
Yeah.
Right.
that was my thing. I'm gonna get a degree, then probably come back, work for Campbell Soup.
Right.
You know, or that was the exposure mindset, right?
Right.
But I remember I kept in contact with some cats that was at Girard. They kept my mind open. They kept my mind open, and they was like, look, just because you back in the hood don't mean you got to become the hood.
Right.
Nice.
Find the best people. Find the best people and do what the best people do that are there. And that's what I did. I found y'all, right? You remember me and Booty became really good friends. Right? He was on me, Chris. We became really good friends. He was on the football team.
Yeah.
Me and Coach Stain stayed tight. You know, he was an academic. You know, then man, by the grace of God, Coach Hayspell ends up coming in.
Wow.
Coach Hayspell.
Yeah.
So Hayspell comes in and he a Q. You know, graduated from Rutgers, all that. You know, what I'm saying, strong. You know, politically black man. So he had my mind just thinking like, man, we're gonna figure out how you can use this.
Right.
Like figure out how you can use this to elevate. So from there, it was, man, I know what I want to do, but I'm still trying to figure out how to do it. You gotta remember, I'm 16, man. Actually, as a matter of fact, I'm 15. I graduated at 17. I'm 15 years old, still trying to figure this out in a big man's body. I know the same size I am now is what I was in high school. So you think I got it all figured out, but I'm just trying to piece it all together, all the same. Man. I know I'm rumbling on, but
no, keep going, G.
No, yeah, that's good stuff,
man. That's good stuff right there, man.
No, I appreciate that. So the thing about it, man, it was. And Keevia asked me a question early. He was like, you know, how is it? We'll probably talk about it a little bit later. Why am I so connected to the youth now? My thing was I always wished I had a me, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Perfect. Didn't have a father growing up. My mother and my grandmother, they were my rocks. They were. So I never had a father like explain to me how to be a man. I always ask people this question. How does a man raise a man when a man didn't have a man raise him?
That's knowledge right there, bro.
I'm asking again. So how does a man raise a man when that man didn't have a man raise him? Well, what he does is he looks at other men. He looks at other men, and either fortunately or unfortunately, he chooses the path of those men that he looks at.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Like that's just what he does. It's not an excuse, it's just what it is. Well, the men that I just chose to look at, this is where I knew I always had, man, just like blessings all around me, dude. Is man, men just seem to show up when I needed them to show up. So I'm piecing together who George Hegamin is based off of all these different men that I'm meeting in my life. Coach Hayspell, Coach Sim, a lot of them coaches, obviously, right? Coach Turner. My coaches from Girard College. Man, and to be honest with you, even some of the cats that's in the hood that made mistakes, you know, and were trying to get me to realize that, you know, I had something that I really didn't know I had till I actually got to college. But dude, man, I'm telling you, like, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, there's so many different ways I could go with that question.
Yeah.
But the blessing in all of it, man, is that, again, I was smart enough to surround myself with people like you guys.
Yeah.
Because you guys had already, you guys navigated. Keevie, where'd you go to elementary school?
HB Wilson.
Where'd you go, Kev?
Elementary school?
Yeah, sorry, you went to Forest Hill.
Forest Hill, baby.
That 40-year. Where you go? Where you go, EB?
HP Wilson.
Okay, so 2-3 different. You guys have already navigated that.
Yeah.
You had already navigated where you went. Everybody went to Hatch, right?
No,
I went to Hatch.
That's
Keith
right.
and I went to Morgan Village.
Morgan Village and Hatch, right?
Right.
You navigated elementary school. You navigated junior high. You already did 2 years in high school, and y'all were successful in my eyes. Right? Now, one of y'all was selling drugs. Now, none of y'all was sticking nobody up. Y'all all was good people in the classroom, right? EB was always involved in something that was making me think, like, man, like, that's really cool. This cat come all the way from Fairview. He can do it. I can do it. I don't live that far. I don't walk that far. But it's things like that, man. I think one of the challenges that kids have today is they don't recognize that a lot of the answers that they need are standing right in front of them. They standing right in front of them.
Yeah.
You don't need a Michael Jordan to come to the hood and show you how to be a good person. Just find a good person.
Yeah.
So you cats, y'all were good people to me, man. So all I did was a lot of times, whether you notice or not, I walked behind y'all until I figured it out. I did. I walked behind y'all until I figured it out. Me and EB used to have
I know what you're gonna say.
You know what I'm doing, right?
Come on.
We used to have a math class together. And I'm telling you, we used to struggle in this math class. And the teacher was just a character. I'm not gonna say her name. I'm not gonna say it.
What was that trick, right?
She was a character. And some way, somehow, man, the God made it so that me and EB sat right next to each other. And I'm telling you, the jokes that me and this dude came up with helped us pass this class.
Right.
EB, am I lying?
No, you're telling the truth. I was thinking about that. We had a little joke, a side joke. You might as well say it, man. It was Humpty Hump, man.
Humpty Hump. Humpty Hump. He hit me in the hallway. Hey, G, you do Humpty Hump work, man? You do homework.
Oh man.
But just think about it, right? Think about what you from the high to all of our doorsteps. Think about what you had to pass every day just to make it from your doorstep to the high.
No, that's right. I know that's right.
Think about that. And I told you I was like the stray cat of Cannon, so I lived all over the place.
And we were comfortable with it too.
You had no choice.
That's that walk. We were comfortable with making it from our doorstep to Camden High.
We look forward to it.
So take this mindset, Kiwi. It's one thing to be comfortable, but my mindset was I'm going to be more than comfortable. I'm going to strive as I do this. So I pulled on those jokes I knew me and EB were going to have about Humpty. Like those are things I would think about walking to school, keeping that good energy, man. So I'm not thinking about passing needles, passing drug houses, passing arrests. You know, I saw a cat get shot one time. Like all those things happen over and over and over again, but I couldn't make that a part of my everyday, even though it was a part of my everyday.
Right. And that's a point that that you're touching on, Big G. Even though we went from our doorstep to Camden High, there was areas we knew that we had to avoid.
Correct.
You know, there wasn't, you know, I was one that would not go through the Centerville area because of what I used to hear about the shootings that used to go on. I mean, I didn't have to go that way, but even in my free time, that was an area that I would avoid. East Camden was another area that I would not go out to, you know, because of the stereotype of just what was occurring in that part of the city.
And while you say that, I was comfortable as heck going through Centerville. You know,
that's where you was living.
I'm from out that area, so definitely not going through North Camden, but going through Centerville, you know. So
look,
I get it.
Hold on, I used to date a girl that used to live out in North Camden. Dude.
Yeah. Okay. How scared on the scale from 1 to 10? How scared were you?
Oh, yeah. All right, y'all remember the long leather jacket I used to wear?
Yes,
the trench with the fur. Didn't it have the fur on the
I was nice with that thing. I was nice with that thing. Hey, but EB, when I went through North Camden, that fur came off, dude. That fur came off, went in the bag. It was nothing. Because look, I'm walking her home, right? She was in the band, so I'm walking her home, right? Because she had to practice. Man, you know how a band teacher was, man. He kept y'all in there, man. So the thing was, I'm trying to help her get home. Now I gotta get back home.
My goodness.
Crazy.
Yeah, we ain't gonna mention no names. I remember her, but we ain't gonna mention no names.
Here you go.
Oh man, so George, man, as you transition and you transitioned in high school and became a lot more comfortable and began to understand how to move even more, and you know, began to become this nice, tough, you know, offensive lineman that was the leader of the team and one of the leaders of the team. talk to us about your mindset in that transition. If you could talk to us about that, and how was it, man? Going from not knowing how to play football, and not really familiar with it, to where you started. I remember a story you told me. You may not remember, when you went down to G-Tech, when you went down to Georgia Tech,
Yep.
and you came back and you was telling me about Kenny Anderson. He was about my size. It's one of the stories I'll never forget, man. And talk to me just about that process and your transition, man.
Well, the thing about me specifically, man, is whether it looked like to y'all I had it figured out or not, I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I was learning on the job. It was on the job training. I'm serious. Sit back and talk with Chris Allen about how much he used to help me every day in practice, like understand stuff. Like I couldn't have made it. I'm telling you, I wouldn't have made it without Chris, man. I'm dead serious. Without Chris, I'm gonna throw some names at y'all. Chris, Meatball, Tariq. You know what I'm saying? Jason Barnes,
Jay Barnes.
Cats that they grew up playing, Simba's football.
Yeah.
So it was already ingrained in them. Like they were literally teaching me how to get down into a 3-point stance. And then learn to love being hit and like hitting people and the physical nature of it and the two-a-days and all that kind of stuff, man. I was like, why do people do this? I'm being serious. I was like, why do people do this, man? Yeah. And then you couple that on top of like just living in the environment that I lived in inside my house. That was what really drove me. Like it was. That's what drove me, man. Like I remember my grandmother had a heart attack because we lived I lived on Mechanic Street. Our house was like rat infested. And all night long you would just hear like the mice just run through the walls. And she was in her room and a few of them like fell in her bed and like they scared her and she ended up having a heart attack.
Oh my.
And I remember thinking to myself, man, like, nah, like we can't rock like this no more. So I was like, at that point, it was strategic for me, right? It was like, what do I have in front of me that I can use to help me get out of this situation?
Okay,
What is
right.
it?
Right.
Okay. From an academic standpoint, I know I can go to college. I know I can do that, but that's going to take, at this point, I'm a junior, senior in high school. That's 6 years before I graduate. But then I get a job. Am I going to still be able to move us out of the hood? No. Okay. One of my best friends is one of the biggest drug dealers in my neighborhood. I could hook up with him, get it quick. That would have been real easy, right? But then, 2 days later, his brother go to jail.
Oh my.
Right? Don't want to do that. But y'all know what it was. It was right there. It was right there
in front of us.
Accessible
all times. And then again, sitting back, talking with people like Chris, people that understood football. It was like, man, I'm telling you, you get this together, you can go to college, end up going pro, making 6 figures like real easy. So it was a strategy for me. Deal with what I don't like about it, learn to love it, and use it for what I needed to use it for. That's what it all became to me.
Yeah. And
then somewhere along the line, man, I got really good. I got really good. Then the scholarship offers came. And once I knew I was going to college, then it was like, okay, I know I can go just about anywhere I want to go from a college standpoint. But even then, I still did not think about going pro, like actually thinking going pro was a possibility until I played my first college football game.
I was just going to ask you that, Big G. How was your experience, man, at NC State, man, when you got down there, man? What was that like, man? Just coming from Camden to that big area, man, football town, NC State, D1.
It was, man, I'm telling you, it was euphoria, dude. It was because I had three square meals in the hot and 3 hot meals every day, roof over my head, didn't have to worry about drugs in the neighborhood, didn't have to worry about shootings, didn't have to worry about a lot of different things. The family was still struggling a little bit, but without me having to be there every day, they was able to move to a better place.
Right.
So things got better for them. But man, once I got to college and I realized that the dream was real, it was on after that. It was on. And then on top of it, all the cats I hung around, y'all, Abdul, man, everybody was doing something positive. Everybody, whatever it was, everybody was doing something positive. So I always looked at it like this, man. I gotta keep pace. I gotta keep pace, man, because the brothers that was there before me, they made it out. They doing their thing. They striving to do what they got to do. I gotta keep pace.
Right.
Yeah.
Because whether you guys realize this or not, remember I told you, I'm trying to figure out how to be a man.
Come on.
In the hood. Well, you guys were my examples of good, even we're the same age, but good men in the hood.
All right.
So I'm telling you, I tell my kids this all the time. When I say my kids, the athletes I train, mentor everybody. Man, you never know who watching you, dude.
Yeah.
Y'all probably never thought I was watching you like that, but I was watching you like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, but when I got to state, I did the same thing. The strategy worked for me in Camden. I said, I'm gonna use that same strategy here at NC State. I'm going to follow the people that's doing it the right way, right? I'm going to figure out what I'm doing wrong and figure out how to do it better. And I'm going to figure out how to get to the next level. So when I played my first college football game, we played up at New Brunswick in the kickoff classic. And I didn't even, this is how green and naive I was. The guy I'm playing against, I had no idea he was like a 2-time All-American everything. All I knew is my grandmom had rats in the ceiling. Like that's all I knew. So I remember my coach was like, he said, man, you have a good game against this dude. That's going to put you on the map. So what was my strategy? Have a great game against this dude.
Yeah.
Wipe him out. Wipe him out.
That's
and I
what's
remember my cousin, who's always very, very critical of me, but in the right way, we were, after the game, we were going to the bus, and he was standing there by the bus, and he was just like looking at me like strangely, like, and I was like, why are you looking at me like that, yo? He was like, I can't tell you right now. Like, I want to, but I can't. So I ended up getting back to state. 3 days later, he calls me on the phone, and he was like, look, man, I'm telling you, like, you could go pro if you keep this up. Like, if you keep this up, you look like a pro out there. So that was the first time that I had that confidence. Like, okay, all right. So I'm going back to the strategy again. When's the earliest I can leave? They told me here's something I should have told you, because I started out as a defensive player, never touched the field as a defensive player. They told me over the spring, they said, listen, if you change over the offense, you won't be here 2 more years. You'll go pro in 2 more years if you do this way. And I did.
Wow.
I got a question for Big G. So Big G, so 1994 you left NC State.
Yep.
3rd round draft pick with the Cowboys.
Yep.
You spent your first 5 years with the Cowboys in those early 90s, right?
Yes, sir. First four.
First 4 years. Okay, first 4 years of your career with the Cowboys. So, and I don't want you to talk about the Cowboys right now. Okay,
we good.
But I want you to talk about a little later, because some of the same pitfalls that you had to avoid in the hood. You had to also be exposed to some of those same pitfalls as a professional athlete as well. All right, but don't touch on that. Touch on that later.
Okay.
1998, you land with Andy Reid and the Eagles.
Yep.
So you saw Rodney Peete, you saw the emergence of Donovan McNabb as well, right?
Yep.
So that was a critical point in your professional career, because I know that with Andy Reid, who is a soon-to-be Hall of Fame head coach, just won a Super Bowl. He was tough on you. He was tough on you. Tell me what your experience was with Andy Reid during that period of time in your professional career, and some of the lessons that you may have learned from that time that you spent early in that 98. It was about a 5-year contract they gave you. during that time. Just tell me about some of the lessons that you learned under Coach Reed during that time in Philly.
Yeah, so we go back to it. Remember, I was telling y'all, still trying to figure out how to be a man, right?
Yeah.
So I still had not learned a very valuable lesson when I met Andy Reid.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't learned a very valuable lesson. He taught me a very valuable lesson that I stick to like nothing else. So I end up going to Philly. First, let me tell you how I got there.
Yeah.
So I remember I was a free agent leaving the Cowboys, and I was sitting with my agent, and he was like, "Hey, so Philly called. So Philly called. What you think?" And I was like, "Well, what do you think?" And he was like, "Well, we're going to at least listen to everybody." So I remember we go, they invite me up. We sitting there, we talking, and at this time, Ray Rhodes was still the head coach.
Okay.
And I remember we were talking about, and they were like, "Well, this is what we want to do. This is what we think. It's how we see you." So just kind of give you some insight on how all this works.
Yeah.
So when you become a free agent in the NFL, any team in the league can seek your services, right?
Okay.
So but normally what happens, like, it's every February free agency starts, at least when I played, and they were the first team that reached out.
Okay.
And I'm like, you know what, hometown, I definitely want to see what they're talking about. I grew up an Eagles fan. Reggie White was my man all the way until he passed. You know what I'm saying? Still cool with his family. So of course I wanted to come and see what the Birds are talking about, right?
Right.
And I remember when I got there, man, I was like, this place is terrible. But you gotta understand where I'm coming from. So
That's Spectrum, right?
I came from the Dallas
That was
Cowboys.
Veterans Stadium.
Veterans. I'm sorry.
Everything was
Veterans Stadium.
pristine, right? Everything was pristine. We had the best of everything. I walk in the vet, and I'm like, man, this is terrible. It reminded me of living in Camden in the house. I'm serious.
Wow.
We get off the elevator and we're downstairs. Big rat runs down. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
This is a protein.
Wow.
So anyway, I remember I go up and talk to Joe Banner and can't think of another cast.
Jeffrey Lurie.
Jeffrey Lurie, Mike Lombardo.
Michael
We're up there, we're talking. They're like, hey, this is what we think about you, this, that, and the other. We think you could be a really good piece to our line, other way you play, all this. So I'm like, cool. So they end up they threw the money out at me. Boom. Okay, all right. They really serious about this thing.
Right.
So then I remember thinking to myself, I told my agent, I was like, okay, we got that number. Let's see what everybody else is talking about. My first thing I told him, I said, listen, call Dallas and tell Dallas where we at. He was like, no, I'm serious. It's negotiation, right?
Yes.
I'm like, look, man, call Dallas, tell Dallas where we at. He's like, yeah, but I don't think they're gonna give you this. I'm like, yeah, but man, still call them, make them say no. Like, make them say no. Yeah. I was still a bit impressionable. He was like, look, I think this is the best deal you're gonna get. I feel like I signed the deal too early, number one. That's my thoughts.
Okay.
Sign it. I end up playing for Ray 1 year. He ends up getting fired. Anytime a new coach comes in,
come on, Jay.
His job is to bring in the people that he trusts, right?
Right.
So here's what I'll tell you. So Andy comes in. He comes in and he's standoffish in a way where he's evaluating everything, right? Including his starting left guard who's scheduled to make $2.9 million that next year. I'm not necessarily thinking I got to prove anything to him other than I can play.
Right.
Okay.
We get into the year, get into camp. Trey Thomas gets drafted.
Trey.
Me and Trey end up being the best of friends, so we playing right next to each other. I'm thinking, this is what's going to look like. Like this was going to be. I end up getting injured in camp. I get injured in camp, tear my finger up, it's still messed up. End up having plantar fasciitis in my foot. Can't really perform. So I know I'm not having a good camp. I know this.
Right.
But I'm still doing all I can do to make the team. So he never at any time pulled me in the office and said anything. So the day that they decide, okay, we're going to play the rookie in front of you, Doug Brzezinski. We're going to play the rookie in front of you. I say, okay, I did. I remember like it was yesterday. Turner Juan Castillo, who was my position coach at the time, I said, Juan, I said, look, man, I've been in this league a long time. I know what it is. I'm making 2.9. This rookie making 300. We got 2 weeks left before the season starts. I said, listen, I'm asking right now for a trade. Like, trade me or release me because I know I'm not going to be here. And he was like, man, nah, don't do that. That's not what it is. I was like, Juan, I mean, you can't BS me. I've been doing this too long at this point. So I go in Andy's office and I ask him. I say, Andy, I say, listen, I appreciate everything you've done. Everything you're doing here, I get it. I see it. You're changing the culture of the team. I see I don't fit in the plans anymore. I said, is it possible? I said, is it possible that you can release me now? This gives me at least 2 more weeks to go to another training camp and earn a spot on a team.
Right.
I remember he paused for a minute and he was like, but I just got a problem releasing good players.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. I was like, okay, that should have been I don't necessarily really understand what that means. Because if I'm good,
Right.
I'm playing.
Right.
Know I'm hurt. You know what it is. But
Right.
But if I'm not in the plans, let me ride. He's playing the business angle. If Doug Brzezinski don't work out, I know George is there. We go back to George. I get it. Right? Why pay somebody almost $3 million that you can pay somebody $300,000? Get that part, right? So I said, so I asked him again. I was like, I said, just don't think. I said, put yourself in my shoes. You starting a new team. I'm trying to feed my family. I know the best way for me to do this is to get on another team right now, right? And he was like, I'm sorry, man. I'd rather you just fight your way through this.
Okay.
So I'm like, it's 2 weeks left in the season. I know what this is, man. Right. I did something, and I don't mind telling y'all this. I did something, man, that I shouldn't have done. I left.
What you mean?
I left. I remember I went to my agent. I was like, man, I'm not going back no more. And he was like, why'd you do that? I was like, I told him the deal. He was like, yeah, I could see they should have released you, but you should have at least had me handle the business part and just went out and just did what you did.
G, you saying you just left?
G walk, G bounce. Yeah, G bounce. Yeah.
I bounced. Look, bounce. Look. This how ignorant, stupid, and immature I was.
Yeah.
Left, still had tape on my feet because we were getting ready to go to practice. Still had my feet taped, everything. Put my sweatsuit on, jumped in my Benz, and went back to Jersey.
And Big G,
the white Benz G, the white one.
The white one, even. The white one. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
And Big G, I'm here, an Eagles fan, and I'm seeing all of this unfold. I'm reading the Philadelphia Inquirer, and I'm, watching, and I'm, everything you're saying, they're reporting this, and I'm here rooting for you as a hometown hero. He's back home. He's with my squad. What is going on? He left.
Let me continue to share the ignorance and the immaturity of your boy Big G, right? I remember I was sitting there, I was at home, and I left my agent's house and went home, and I was sitting there, I was like, man, that was dumb. Like that was dumb, man. That wasn't the way to handle that. And I remember Hugh Douglas called me, and he was like, man, you being so selfish right now. Like you being so selfish. And I understand what he meant. He was like, dude, you don't realize how many people you're letting down by not following through with this. And I'm like, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but this is the lesson.
Okay,
this is the lesson in it, right?
Is this a lesson that you can give Ben Simmons?
Facts, right? Okay. Because look, because I'm a diehard Sixer fan, and he killing me right now.
Okay. All right. I want you to talk to Ben Simmons right now.
I hope he need to be on the podcast. He need to be on the podcast, man. Hold on, let me call Elton, tell Elton to get this boy the podcast. The lesson in it was this. So my punishment, I come back, apologize to the team, and me and B Doc was real cool. And Doc was like, look, he was like, I get it and everything. He was like, but at this point, you got to just still be able to do what you can do. You never know what's going to happen.
Right.
So they give me a platform to apologize to the fellas and everything. And they understood where I was coming from. But again, it was like, but you left us. Facts, right? Facts. You heard it from the horse's mouth.
Yeah.
So I go to Andy, apologize to him, for leaving and everything. And he was like, yeah, he said, okay, but I'll figure out how we going to, make amends to it or whatever. So we go to practice. At the end of every practice, and this is when we practice over at the vet again. So at the entrance of the practice, like you see all like the news cameras and stuff coming up to interview. So he calls up practice and he tells me, wait behind. So normally by this time, the news people would leave because the players would leave. Well, he don't say anything. All he says is, come over to this sled. You're going to push this sled 100 yards.
I remember Big G.
And I'm thinking at this point, I'm like, I just want to do it. I'm feeling bad because I did something that I don't normally do. I ain't no quitter. Like I don't do that. But I did.
And the cameras are there, right, Big G?
Cameras are there. So all he did was blew the whistle. So he blowing the whistle and I'm just pushing. Blowing the whistle and I'm just pushing. He ain't saying a word to me. Nothing. Even when I got done, it wasn't nothing. He didn't say anything. He didn't say, look.
Said hut?
I said hut. Like that was it. That's all he said. He didn't say, look, I'm doing this because, you messed up or whatever. He didn't give me nothing, right? He goes right to the camera. He go to the camera. I remember I took a knee, sat there, I prayed. Then I walked because the camera's still waiting on me. And I was like, either I can handle this, I can stand up, or I can lay down on this. And I remember I went, talked to the media, and that was it. And I remember, and here's what I love, right? The folks that ride with me, they were like, look, he did you wrong, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. And I get that. Y'all are supposed to say that. Those who said that are supposed to say that. But in the back of my mind, man, I knew this. And here's the lesson. Don't ever put yourself in a position to be treated that way by anybody. Never. Because as much as people want to say he did me wrong, it don't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is the action that I took. My action is what caused that reaction. Right? So again, and I went years without talking to Andy, man. Years. And because I was bitter, but I was also confused about why he would do something like that. You have people talking about, oh man, he wouldn't do, you because you're black and this, that, and other. He wouldn't have done a white player like that. Maybe not. I don't know. But I know he did it to me that day. But had I not did what I did, I'd have never gave him reason to do it. Lessons, man. So I can tell you, I have never put myself in a position for somebody to be able to have that type of authority over me.
Right. Because it opens you up for any attack from anybody else. Good stuff, G. Thank you, G. That's good.
Yes.
G, I wanted to go back real fast, man. You mentioned, your time at NC State. I wanted to get your thought on black athletes. One of your great friends, Dion, is down, doing his thing, man. Yeah, that's your brother, man. Is doing his thing, and he's bringing a lot of attention to the HBCUs. I wanted to get your thought on because it's certainly been a conversation that's been ongoing. Get your thought on, these athletes, these the 5-star athletes, going to D1s, man. I wanted to get your perspective on that.
So two-part question, two-part answer, right? What I think Dion is doing with HBCUs is what needs to be done. Like, I don't know if y'all know this, but I was actually supposed to go and coach with him.
Okay.
I was actually supposed to go and coach with him, but my path led me to be where I'm at right now, which is the director of football at IMG Academy. Toughest decision I ever made. Toughest decision I ever made, man. Because I was literally being torn from my purpose-driven process.
Right.
I believe in finishing what I started. I just told you that about the whole Andy Reid thing. I felt like had I left, when I left, I wouldn't have completed the mission that I'm trying to complete where I am. But at the same time, I still wanted to be with my brother because that's another purpose that we need to do for us. The one thing I can say, man, when you look at, if you've ever been on a recruiting trip and you've ever gone to like any of the major D1 universities, that's almost impossible to turn down. And they make it impossible for you to turn down. Because what I just tell you, you know what I was living like in Camden. You know what I was living like.
Right.
So the thing is, and coaches are smart, man. They are going to recruit to your need, right? They knew that I was living in a rat-infested home. They knew what Camden looked like. They knew what my trigger points were. They knew all of that. So every recruitment visit that I went on, they administered to that, right? Man, you'll always have food. You'll always be able to have a roof over your head. When your parents come, your grandma, grandmother, and the mother come visit you, they can always be able to stay at this nice hotel.
Nice.
All of that. They recruit to all of that. So now you go to some of these places, man. I use Alabama for an example. And I love the coaches down there. Know a lot of them. Right. It is impossible as a grown man to walk in there and not feel like, oh my goodness, this is football.
This is home right here.
This is home. The challenge that HBCUs have are resources.
Right.
They're resources because when you leave your hood, you go to an HBCU, it's also in the hood.
Yes.
And the resources aren't that much better than what you might have come from in high school. So as an athlete, you're saying to yourself, he's not looking 4 years down the line. He's looking at tomorrow.
Yeah.
They train you to look at and focus on tomorrow. Or I should say today and tomorrow, not 4 years down the line. So the challenge, man, that my brother has, and he's doing an excellent job of it. I was just there probably about a month ago, and I'm telling you, Prime got Mississippi rocking.
Yeah, he did.
Do you hear me?
Yes,
he got it rocking like no other person can. Let me tell you something about Deion Sanders. He is a purpose-driven individual for the betterment of all youths, right? Not just black youth, but all youth. But he understands the mission that he has for our people. So when I tell you he's completely sold out and doing it the right way, he's completely sold out and doing it the right way. But now what you're seeing, Eddie George, Tennessee State, you're going to start, can't tell you what, but you're going to start seeing some other brothers with some influence with some other places.
Nice.
And you're going to start seeing more resources go to those different places. We just got to be patient and just watch it happen.
Gotcha. Nice.
George, I did want to touch on the when we talk about the HBCUs and versus these major colleges, and now athletes are starting to be able to get paid on their likeness and their brand.
Beautiful thing.
What's your thought, man? Is it great for athletes, and how do you think it affects the actual sport?
Bro, let me tell you what it does. It starts to level the playing field. It starts to level the playing field because I think back when I was in college, I couldn't get a job.
Right.
Couldn't get a job. Every extra dollar that I got was scrutinized. Right. My mother, when she could, used to send me money through Western Union. I would have to give the Western Union receipt to our compliance officer if he asked for it.
Yeah.
And why we asked for it? Why? Because he might see me with $20 more than I normally had because he knew I never had it.
Oh my God.
You know what I'm saying? Where you get this money from? My mom sent it to me. Oh, man, you got to give me the receipt. So I would have to give him the receipt
to prove it.
John.
For $20.
But now with the new NIL rule, man, if you're in college, you can start making money off your name, image, and likeness. Like the biggest thing that it's doing right now is starting to level the playing field. It's starting to give smaller schools the opportunity to be able to recruit much larger players. It's just going to take some time.
Right.
It's going to take some time. It's not a quick fix. It's something that you're going to start seeing. You're going to start seeing the dial change a little bit. Schools that are in I use I'm just going to use, it's not an HBCU, but Georgia Tech, which is right in the heart of Atlanta.
Mhm.
Well, there are thousands of businesses in that area that can now start attaching themselves to those athletes that
Nice.
go to that school.
Nice.
Whereas all the other kids go to Athens, Georgia,
Uh-huh.
right to the University of Georgia. You're going to start seeing some of them matriculate and staying closer to home.
Nice.
Number one, going to smaller schools, going to HBCUs, and making more money in college than they were probably making the pros
Wow.
over
My
the
God.
long haul.
Yeah.
My God, my God, my God. Big G. Now, I want you've been talking about the black male athlete.
Yep.
I want you to think about those early Dallas Cowboy days now.
Beautiful
All
days,
right.
man. Yeah, man.
I don't know what's about to come, man.
Okay. All right.
Especially after we took that L yesterday. But go ahead, bro.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's
I'm with it.
okay. It's okay. But not to degrade the organization, but you see, just like you had to navigate through Camden,
Mhm.
there were some pitfalls early on in your playing time that you saw a lot of drug use happening with
Yep.
professional athletes.
Yep.
You saw a lot of domestic violence situations happening with black athletes.
Yep.
You saw a lot of black athletes selling drugs
Yep.
as well and using drugs, paying and illegal drugs. Fast forward to what just happened a few weeks ago with Henry Ruggs from the Raiders,
Mm.
driving his car, possibly intoxicated, loaded handgun on the front seat, kills a woman and her dog.
Yeah.
All right. Just talk to me. How were you able to avoid, just like same scenario with Camden, but what does a young black man who doesn't really have the support system
Mhm.
from strong men and surrounding him go and make all that money?
Mhm.
How do you effectively avoid the temptations associated with being a top flight athlete, and just keeping your name and your reputation clear, and not
Yeah.
finding yourself in a lot of the issues that happened, a lot of his issues that happened, the issues that happened early on in Dallas, and also with Henry Ruggs. How
Yeah.
how does a player avoid those type of situations?
Man, well, first of all, let me say this. You don't avoid it. Anybody that tells you that they avoid it is lying, right? You know when to get in and get out.
Mm.
I'm gonna be honest with you. So, and the other part is my cousin Kevin is on here. He said my mama didn't play. She didn't. Right? Last night she did. But I'm gonna go back to and if anybody is listening to this, and if you record any piece of this, this is what I want anybody to know about anything you try to accomplish in life.
Come on, Jay.
The foundation that you plant your seeds on
Mhm.
or you attach yourself to is going to speak to any amount of success and or failure that you end up having later in life.
All
Mm.
right.
And all of what's being said is true. My mom did not play, yo. Like that wasn't. I never mistaked who was in charge in my house.
Mm-hmm.
It was my mother and my grandmother. Like they made that abundantly clear.
Mm-hmm.
The other part of it was this. I never wanted to fail y'all.
Mm.
Didn't. Like
Mm.
that whole thing with the Eagles, like that was like the worst feeling in the world. But I knew I was learning a lesson. So that's how I was able to get through it. You talking about depression? Oh, I dealt with all of that.
Mm.
But when you talk about like those pitfalls,
Mm-hmm.
man, I'm gonna keep it a buck with you.
Yes.
We'll be out partying, kicking it. It'll all be around. I would get to my limit. My limit would be okay. I know if I go this much more,
Mm.
I got to answer to the crib.
Mm.
I got to answer to the crib. I can't go in Ti barbershop and all of a sudden they be talking about, oh man, he used to play with the Cowboys. Now he's strung out. I couldn't do that to who was coming after me. I couldn't.
Yes.
Got you. Hey, G, check this out.
What
Quick question for you, G. Just I'm wanting to know how you were able to like balance, man, life, man, from being in the NFL, man, to being a father, man, to a coach, to foundation, how are you able to stay even keel and say, okay, just prioritizing it all? How are you able to keep balance, G?
Foundation again. I have a very strong faith. I have a very strong foundation in what I know to be important. Right? Like I know my relationship with my kids are probably one of the most important aspects of my being here. Why? Because my kids are the extremes of me, right? So my son is that very reserved, patient part of me, and my daughter is that cliffhanger, yo. Like she just, but in a way, like my daughter jumps and then figures it out.
Okay.
Right. My son, he's still sitting on the sideline waiting to make sure all of everything is correct before he even starts thinking about doing something. Right. So I know me being in the middle of that, I got to show them both the right way.
Right.
I used to always think, man, why am I so big? And it's because I'm supposed to be seen. Right. And if I'm going to be seen, I need to make sure that what you are seeing is helping you.
Okay.
So that's why I take it so personal when I do something wrong, because I know how many people are watching me. And then when I do it wrong, my next first thought is, okay, I got to get this right because I know who's watching me. So the balance part, EB, man, I've learned a lesson at each stage, man, from, being a heavily recruited high school athlete to being an All-American in college to being a Super Bowl champion with the Dallas Cowboys. Kev, I don't think you heard me with the Dallas Cowboys. Right? You know what I'm saying? How you gonna come on here wearing the Eagles sweater? That's what the night is about, man. He did it on purpose.
Give me one.
That KD, he's something, man. He's something, man.
That's all. Y'all got y'all's off yesterday, and that's cool. That's cool. Okay, which y'all like 5 and 6 now. But anyway,
it's a true hater right there. G. I love it.
No, but man, it is faith, EB, and his balance and his direction.
Gotcha. I'm gonna write that down, G.
Yeah, faith, balance, and direction, man. I feel like I've been fortunate enough to like really accomplish a lot in a very small amount of time.
Right.
But dude, there's so much more to do. Like it's so much more to do. So in that, man, I'm just staying prayed up, man, and staying hopeful and humble, man, humble enough to make sure I see which direction I'm supposed to go next.
But everybody that's joining in, we got the great George Hegamin.
Big G.
Yeah, Big G.
You can always catch us on all streaming services. Check us out. Right now, we're having a conversation with Big George Hegamin, the father, the son, philanthropist. The giver, one that gives us heart. And we're having a
Big
great
G was on a roll with my question and E cut him off, but I ain't,
Big G, I thought Big G, you finished. You got it out, didn't you?
We can come back. We can come back.
Yeah, go ahead. That's all right. I know
KD like to get long with it and hear more explanation.
I want to hear more.
If you joining us, George had a chance to talk to his upbringing and coming up in Camden. Some of the obstacles he had to come across, and some of the mentors and those that poured into him, and his transition from just education and how important that was, and in sports and becoming a football player and moving on to Dallas Cowboys winning the Super Bowl. Right now George is the director of IMG, which is a nationally known school. And George is down there doing his thing. One of the things that I noticed that George has, man, is this passion. George has this incredible passion to work with youth, and not just, it's through sports, but I watched George pour into, isn't it not just, our Black youth, but just youth in general. I want to ask George and just open George's brain up when it comes to why is it so important, man, and why is it such a passion for him, to pour into our youth in so many facets.
Man, it's a combination of all of the cats that legitimately, purposely took time to like pour into me.
Mhm.
You know, from Mr. Saunders over at Girard College, Mr. Campbell over at Girard College, to Coach Turner, you know, legendary basketball coach from Camden that we all know and love, man, from Coach Simp, the small amount of time I played, you know, for him, Coach Thane, you know, like I've gained something from all of them, man. Coach Hayspell.
Yeah.
And what I've tried to do is just like take the most impressionable piece from all of them and make Big G. You know, from Coach Dane being, man, as authoritarian as he was, man, he was probably one of the smartest dudes I ever sat down and talked to. I gotta put EB on the spot again. I forgot this. So look,
EB stupid.
Coach, I knew Coach Dane was
You must be talking about chemistry class.
because our chemistry teacher. So me and EB, we keep messing this formula up, right? And we can't get this formula right. So we got to the point where the formula was finally right. It was finally right. And EB, for whatever reason, misunderstood what I said and poured it down the drain. And I remember Coach Dane looked at me. He was like, "It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right." But the thing about those men is that, man, there was never a time where I couldn't bend their ear about something I was going through or something I was trying to accomplish, or them just offering information or resources to me in a way where I was like, man, I wouldn't make it without these cats because I don't have this at home.
Yeah.
I don't have this at home.
Right.
So I had to find dad, I had to find father right in my pathway. And thankfully, man, that I had more of them in my pathway than I had what we knew was out on the corner, man. So the reason why I do it the way I do it now is because I look at it like this. At some point, I'm going to leave the ether, right? I'm going to leave the ether. And last thing I want anybody to say is that he did not use what was given to him for those that's coming after him. So and I don't mind sharing this. I'm at a very huge crossroads right now with my kids down at IMG, my coaching staff down at IMG, because of and I go back to the Andy Reid thing. We are responsible for our actions. We're going to be held responsible for our actions one way or another. What I'm trying to do is to get young men to realize to take accountability for that stuff now. Because if you don't, karma is real. Like, it will circle back on you at some point. You don't learn that lesson now, you won't learn that lesson at 25 like I did with Andy Reid. You won't learn that lesson at 35. The worst lesson to learn is the lesson you should have learned at 25 and you don't learn it until you're 45 or 50.
My God.
You feel me? So man, you got, and I encourage y'all too, man. Like, grab one of them a day. I don't care where you are, man. You see them going the wrong way, man. Just give them another option.
That's right.
Give them another option, and I mean it that way. I'm saying it that way specifically because a lot of times we see somebody doing wrong. We want to say, "Hey, don't do that." But we don't teach them nothing. You gotta say, "Yo, let me tell you what's going to happen if you do that." And here's another option to get exactly what you want, but in another way. Right? You got to use that tact, man. You got to use the tact with a lot of us, and that's the thing that I try my best to do, man, because I've made enough mistakes. I don't need to make one more mistake. Right? I don't need. You know, some people say I learn from my mistakes. I really don't, because you know they keep making the same doggone mistakes.
Right.
I don't need to learn another mistake, man. So that being said, bro, I spend a lot of time reading. I spend a lot of time paying attention to people that have achieved some magnificent things. I'm not even talking about money, right? I'm not talking about money. Me and Keefe was talking about a book that I shared with him a long time ago, Man's Search for Meaning, by Viktor Frankl. Bro, I'm telling you, I read.
Talk to us about that book, Jig.
Man's
Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl.
Yeah.
Yo, say that again. What is it?
Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
I read that. That's an old one.
old one, right? An old one, but
Yeah.
the message is
Yeah.
whoo.
Relevant
So
to today.
here's the biggest thing about it, right? Is when I remember sitting up, I was in my car reading it, Keith, at the park, sitting there reading it, and he was talking about the part where people. First of all, it takes place in the Holocaust during,
Yep.
during the Holocaust.
He was a German author.
He was a German author, so it takes place where they were out there all captured. And he was talking about how the day that nobody died, everybody went crazy. Like people started like freaking out because nobody died that day. And we talk about circumstance, right? We talk about like how we walk from our step to Camden High. We got so used to the conditioning, right, of seeing drugs being sold, seeing people getting robbed, seeing poverty, that becomes what? Normal to you.
Right.
It becomes normal to you. So when you see something different, you go, man, I'm telling you, the first time I stepped foot in Beverly Hills, I was like, what? Are you kidding? It's actually folks living like this? Yo, I'm on it. Right?
Yeah.
The only way I got there is I had small amounts of exposure along the way.
Okay.
So when I realized it, when I actually stepped foot in it and I was experiencing it, it didn't drive me crazy. It encouraged me. So the book talks about that. That is what he's trying to get across to everybody. Right? We get conditioned to think that how we're living is the only way you're supposed to live.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Man.
Wow.
G, what's some other books, man? I know you're an avid reader.
All right, let me pull the phone.
What you reading right now, Big G? What you reading right now?
Okay, hold on a sec.
Big G about to break it down for us, man.
I will tell you this. I'll tell you this. And this
I
is
want to join your book club. Come on.
here's the other truest thing I've heard, yo. You want to hide a jewel, put it in the book. Put it in the book, man. Put that mug in a book. Because we won't look at books.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you told me about that one. I remember that years ago, man. And I don't know where we were, man, but when you mentioned that book, I grabbed it and it blessed my life so much.
Wow.
You know, it did.
So-
It blessed my life, man.
What you got, G?
Man,
What
I
you
don't
got?
man, I can't look at all these books I don't
Come on, throw one out there. Come
Okay,
on.
all right. So here's what I want you to read this book called Deep Work. Deep Work. Okay. I'm gonna just leave you with that one.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
It's a business book, right? But here's the beauty in it. Whatever, I don't know what anybody does, but whatever your discipline is, whatever you go to work for every day. How many times do you actually sit there and think about how you can make what you do better for you and the people that you do it for? Like what this book does, like it makes you break stuff down to like to the very elemental compound, right? To start really thinking about how you can make things better.
Yeah.
And if you take that approach, with the things that are most important to you, I was sharing with Keith earlier, man, take 5 minutes. Find five, every last one of us got 5 minutes a day that we can start making ourselves better.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's why I get up. I got both feet on the floor at 4:30 every morning.
Nice.
Every morning. I'm in the swimming pool about 5 o'clock.
All right.
80 laps, right? 2,000 yards, right? You know what I'm doing? I ain't swimming. I'm processing.
Thinking.
Yeah.
I stopped wearing the music and just start processing.
Processing, right?
I'm processing. So by the time I get out the pool, man, I done solved so many things, right? Because I don't know if you swim, but when you're in the water, it's like you're in a different dimension anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So as I'm swimming, I'm telling you, I go in the pool with purpose thought. I swim with purpose thought. I get out the pool with purposeful actions. Like that's what that's for. But a book like Deep Work takes you there, man.
Okay.
Okay.
You got me. You got me, Big G.
Wow.
Hey, G, just to switch a little bit, with we had Kyle Rittenhouse, get off last week and was found innocent, of his actions. Ahmaud Arbery, his murderers, probably tomorrow the decision should be coming down. And everything that's been going on when we talk about had a conversation about social injustices, man. What's your thought, man, just in general? If you want to, touch on one or two, or just overall, man, just
Mhm.
pick your brain, when it comes to social injustices.
Man, have any of y'all seen gosh, what is it called? It is a series on right now that Swiss Beats produced with Forrest Whitaker and gosh, I can't. He portrays Bumpy Johnson back in the '60s.
Oh,
It's like a
Godfather
gangster
Harlem.
movie.
Godfather of Harlem.
Godfather Harlem.
Godfather of Harlem.
Yes.
Y'all ever check that out? Y'all ever check
Wonderful.
it out?
Wonderful. Yes, sir.
What? So, man, bruh, the difference between what we do now and what our people had to do to get
Mhm.
their point across is extremely different.
Mhm.
We are unfortunately in a convenient stage of protest,
Mm.
right?
Mhm.
Versus back in the
Yeah.
early '60s when everything had to be about putting your feet on the ground.
Mhm.
And the thing that I picked up from it, just like, and my grandfather, man, oh my gosh, my uncle, they talked to me about this at nauseum. Godfather Hall, that's right, Marcus. They talked to me about this, about how it was, because they were people that lived this stuff, right?
Mhm. Yes.
And the thing that got my he's since passed, but he said the thing that gets him is how much our generation, and this is when we were in high school, we talked about civil justice.
Mhm.
Mhm.
They live civil justice. Why? Because it was the uncivilness that was happening to them, right? It's not, it happens to us, but it happens every so often where there's enough pockets that it's normal, right? That life is good for us.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, in the '60s, '50s, like this was more frequent that you saw police brutality, people getting beat up, people getting locked up for the wrong reasons, lynchings, all those different things. You just didn't have social media.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So the challenge, man, is when I see like the thing with the Rittenhouse thing, I look at something like that. It doesn't surprise me. Like it doesn't surprise me. You know why? Wasn't nobody marching outside. Wasn't nobody.
Right.
Who you hear? Who have you heard? How many news medias have you heard speak of the wrongfulness of it, like we did, a year ago, back in 2020?
Mhm.
If the action isn't the same, if the outrage isn't the same, you're not going to have a different outcome. You're going to experience the same things you've been experiencing. So you
Mhm.
can't be surprised when something like this happens and he gets off. Like, how can you
Yeah.
be surprised?
Right. Right.
So it is, man. It's one of those things where I feel like, and I'm part of the problem. Let's say that
Mm.
I am part of the problem because I haven't been part of the solution.
Mm.
Not in a direct way. My way of trying to solve the issue is through educating young black men how to do the right thing so they don't
Right.
find themselves
Mhm.
in those positions.
Mhm.
But as it relates to the people that are in those situations right now,
Mhm.
right, we're not out on the steps
Right.
in droves of people, trying to see a difference. We're not doing that.
Right. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the status quo is okay. They not outraged about it. We're gonna handle the business like we're gonna handle the business.
Mhm.
But until you start like literally like, man, and it was just really what it really comes down to. Until people start to see that, how can I put this correctly? Until people start to realize how you make change is to dry people's pockets up,
Mhm.
it's only going to change for a little while.
Yeah.
If your lights go out right now, Keith, what you going to do?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with
Yeah.
you.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wherever you at, you start flooding right now. What you going to do? You going to
Mhm.
find a bucket right now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
They start shooting over your head right now, Kevin. Kev, what you going to do?
Yeah.
Duck.
Hey.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? With the quickness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the quickness.
Yeah.
But that's not what we're doing. That's not
Mhm.
what we're doing. We're
Right.
waiting for other people to do what we can already do ourselves.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Gee, sometimes I feel like, and I thank God for those that marched for us and bled for us and died for us during that civil rights struggle, for us to have equal rights. But then when you look at the Rittenhouse verdict and how it just seems like the criminal justice system is set up not to punish white people, but almost to protect them and to punish us. You know, I almost feel like, man,
I mean, it wasn't set
we
up for us.
we need to separate. You know, is it possible for us to separate our own government, our own schools, our, you know, Black Wall Street again, you know? And when we had that, they burned it down. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that seems like the only solution that we have is to build and develop our own, you know, rather than still fighting for equality, because it's so set up to punish us and to protect them.
Yeah, 100%, man. So political and financial empowerment is always the answer.
Yeah.
It's always the answer until you have that. Think about this. Let's go back to our hood. Who owns most of the businesses in our hood?
Koreans, Indians. Yeah.
Not us.
Not us.
Not us.
Right.
Not us, right? There's only what I can think of right now, a handful of them that might be owned by us. And then do they stay open?
A couple barbershops, right?
Yeah, a couple barbershops, right?
Yeah.
Maybe a liquor store or two, maybe,
Yeah.
right? Something like that. Are they sustainable? Until we can do that, everything else is a moot point.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I hate to be as grim as that is, man, but
That's truth. That's truth. That's truth.
If you don't control your own money, if you can't control your own dollar, you're giving somebody else permission to control it for you.
Yeah.
If you can't control your own laws and you can't control your own ideology of how you're going to live, you're giving somebody else permission to do that for you. So the one thing I like to do is when we start speaking about stuff like this is break it down to people to where they understand. And most people understand how it feels to have money and not have money. When you don't have money, the simplest things you try to do, you got to ask permission from somebody else to do.
Right.
But when you do have money, how many people you asking, hey, can I go buy these Jordans, or can I go buy this house, or can I go on this vacation? Probably not ask nobody but your wife, right? but other than that, you're not seeking anybody else's permission to go do that when you know you got the finances to do what you need to do.
Right.
So let's be real about it, man. We need to really sit down and start talking about what financial literacy does mean to our community, what it should mean.
Yeah.
Wow.
Good stuff, G.
Yes,
G,
sir.
we wrapping up, man. We definitely gotta have you back, man. Just gotta.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I got a couple hitters, man, that I like to throw out there, man. You know, top 5 teammates ever, man.
Now, okay, top 5 teammates like ever, or one particular team.
Nah, you know what? Nah, I don't want to do that because I'm
give me high school, give me college, give me pro.
Nah.
Okay. High school. Chris Allen.
Nice.
Man, Meatball. Jason Barnes. Oh, I love this question.
All right, go to college now. Go to college.
You said 5, though. You said 5.
Go ahead. Give me 3 more from college.
We need a couple from NFL too, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's actually easy. College, cat named Jeff Bender, my quarterback. Dwayne Washington, Mike G. Oh my God, Mike G was my everything. Mike G. I'm going to go Anthony Barber and Liddell Betts.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not Liddell Betts. I'm thinking of somebody else. I got 4. I got to come back.
Okay. Pros.
Deion Sanders, Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, Eric Williams.
Ooh.
Eric Williams was a monster.
Woo.
He used to give it to Reggie.
What?
He used to give it to Reggie.
Let me tell you this story. Let me tell you, you'll appreciate this. Reggie, we used to call it Reggie Week, Kev. Big E would turn into this demon. And because he knew he had to do that.
Yeah.
To just hold Reggie down. So you didn't want to talk to him.
Yeah.
You didn't want to do He ain't talk to you. I mean, he would just turn into like this demon, dude. Oh my God.
That was a
unreal.
physical. That was just a matchup you would watch the whole game. Where he was with the Eagles and when he was with Green Bay.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's real.
Okay, was that all your pros? Come on.
My last two pros. Hold on. I said Troy. I said Mike. I said
Mike,
Prime. I said Big E.
Mhm.
You got one more.
This is hard. Oh, this is so hard, man. My man Hervin McCormick, man. 5 teammates in the club.
Gee, now if you want to give an honorable mention, you can do that. We got this term we use, honorable mention.
Honorable mention for the pros. Honorable mention for the pros, man, is going to be Derek Brooks down at Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Really? Okay.
Linebacker, right?
Yeah, great brother. Great dude. Great dude.
Yeah.
Great people, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
Last question, G. 5 people that you like to sit around the table with, have a glass of wine and a conversation, dead or alive.
Dead or alive. My father, who I never met. Malcolm X, who I respect deeply. Sojourner Truth.
Okay.
I read something about her recently that made me say, "Wow, okay, that sister was mean." Okay, I'm telling you, man, the jewels is in the book, fellas.
Yeah. You're right,
man.
You're right.
2 more people. It's going to be Grant Cardone.
Okay.
Grant Cardone, and probably last but not least, man, bruh. I got like 4 people in my head when I'm like,
well, G, you could give an honorable mention, brother.
I'll give an honorable mention. Let's go with Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
Let's go with Muhammad Ali.
Okay. Respect. Yes,
sir.
Definitely.
And oh man, what's his name? Oh man, Barnes. I can't think of his first name. Artist. He used to do all of the like the Good Times artist. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Can't think his first name.
I bet you Ward probably know that one. Yeah.
What up, Ward? Hope you're feeling better, brother.
Ernie Barnes.
Ernie Barnes, dude.
Ernie Barnes.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
There you have it, man. George Hegamin.
Big G.
Big G.
Yo, this man, this has been love, man. I ain't gonna lie. This has been love. Y'all understand? I'm a fan, dude. I'm a fan. I check y'all out like, man, that's really cool. I think the last one I saw Dre was on.
Yeah.
Yes.
A minute ago, Dre was on solid. Y'all had a sister that was on there too that was saying some good stuff.
Yes. That was Minister Nikki, right?
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
I think you know Nikki from the church, George. I think you may remember her.
Probably so. Probably so. But yo, this has been love, man. I'm telling you, y'all have scratched off, helped me scratch off something on my bucket list. I would love to come back, man. I would love to come back. Y'all let me know when and if that's possible. Maybe we'll come back like after the Cowboys win the Super Bowl this year.
Yes, sir.
Hey, G, anytime, G. Hey, G, real quick, I just wanted to remind you, man, of something, man. Last time we hung out, bro, it was like almost 10 years ago, man.
Okay.
It was a coincidence, man, that we happened to be in Miami. The fellas, me, Chris,
I remember that.
Keith, Marcus, KD, and Keith was on Facebook. He said, "Yo," Big G, he's in Florida too. So Keith said, "Yo, E, call him up." So G, I called you up. You answered, and G, we kicked it for a second. Then you said, "Yo, bro, You said, "Where y'all at?"
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And a couple hours later, bro, you showed up to where we was at.
Yeah.
Came to the hotel and came to hang out with us.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
We
That was love.
appreciated that, Jay.
Yeah.
That was love, man. That was
Yeah,
love.
man.
Man, I'm telling you, I've been watching y'all for years, man, for years. And to see y'all have that genuine affection for each other, man, you have no idea how many other cats is watching y'all or have been watching y'all and have in some way, shape, fashion, or form have shaped their future based on how they see you guys interact as Black men.
Mhm.
Right? That's a beautiful thing, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's a beautiful thing, and don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
Big G, when you go backstage, don't log off because I need to share something with you behind the scenes with the
Bet.
fellas. All right,
We'll do.
just stay back there, bro.
All
We
right.
want to thank everybody for joining us with Big George Hegamin. Check George out. He has his own YouTube page. Check him out. Definitely inspirational. He's going to get back to giving some more content. He's even more transparent on his YouTube page and talking to you and just giving you some more content to even just not to better yourself and to, and he opens up about some of his, obstacles and things that he want to overcome. So check Big G out on his YouTube page. We appreciate everybody for joining out. Go to our content on Just Our Thoughts on IG, Just Our Thoughts on YouTube, and all streaming services, and check our content out. We appreciate everybody. Thanks for joining us. Peace.
Peace.